Hey there, welcome to CNT Collectibles IMC. This is your weekly chart review. We take a look at the price action of our favorite collectibles. Price is truth. Hope everybody's doing well, having a great week here. And we'll finish it in fun fashion, see what we can see here. So over the past month, we were looking at the card ladder index up a couple of points here, which is nice over the last quarter. Rough end of the year last year, but the past month has been pretty good here. Football is showing the most life among the larger sports. Hockey's cooled off quite a bit, and golf is really ripping, but that's a very limited group. So we're just looking at all the cards in the card ladder in their database or whatever, and that's how they create their indices here. So mostly it's a lot of Tiger Woods, a little bit of Nicklaus there. So wrestling stabilizing, soccer up a bit here, basketball kind of flattening out. Better than being down, right? And then baseball starting to show some life here. High end doing pretty well. As the hobby, again, I think everybody kind of sees what's going on. Not as many people as over the past couple of years, but more than there were a few 3-4 years ago. So, but when you have that number of people exiting, the cards that have 20,000 or whatever, there's too many to go around. But people can go for the more limited, the more scarce. And that's how they're going to protect their investment if they're spending a lot of money. And then you see them go towards the high end part of things there. So, all right, let's see what's moving. And golf index again breaking out this consolidation and pumping in some new highs here. So, good to see here. Whether or not it gets back to its previous highs, I do not know, but it is showing some nice relative strength here. Jack Nicklaus in the 81 Donruss PSA 9. Hanging around $700. Your compression in a nice breakout. Maybe too much too quick. Come back a little bit. Wouldn't surprise me at all. Into that $550, $600 area. But again, good to see a lot of these indices that we're basing start to break out. You have some that are making new highs, which is always terrific. But when you're in a downtrend, you want to set sort of a base up, and then you can kind of digest all the negative momentum, and you can start to break back out. And so we're seeing that in the card market. We're seeing it in parts of the overall stock market. It's been a rough start to the year, worst year ever for the S&P. But you're looking at if you look at a lot of the areas of Staples, energy, a lot of the value names, they've been just fine here. So Tiger Woods, why did I talk about that? You don't care here for cards. What do you care what I think about the markets here? So 2001 upper deck, BGS 9.5. Tiger Woods also with a nice breakout. We had our range between like 80 and $180 or something like that. So we're sitting at the top of the range, but this is a breakout and a nice retest here. So this one was too fast. Again, you're looking for a throwback to some sort of reference point. We're getting that right now. So this is kind of your line in the sand. Go below this, and then you are coming back into that, most likely coming back into that $120 level. But for now, looking pretty healthy. Football index putting in some new highs here. So again, of the four major sports, this one is continuing to make new highs. It's up over 7% for the last month. That's a good sign. You've got the playoffs right now, so you have like hyper relevance for a certain segment of the football playing population, and that always gooses the indices here. So T.J. Watt is one of your biggest leaders within that index here. The Prism Silver in a PSA 9 with a monster move here. This was up 100-something%. So over the last, I don't know if they have that on here, but it's all good, whatever it is. Anyway, we know that moves like this typically have an equal and opposite reaction. So not anything I would chase here. That's a new all-time high. You might let it go, and you can get it for probably quite a bit cheaper. It's a a little over $100 card. So end of the world it isn't if you do something there, but you could probably save yourself a couple of pizzas or something like that if you wait just a bit on that one. Matthew Stafford, no surprise here. He's having himself a terrific playoff here, and so this is the refractor. This is a raw, and getting a nice bump as well over the past couple of weeks. Bring it into an interesting area here where a lot of transactions have taken place in the past. So if he keeps it going, perhaps you can push the card to new highs. But if you bought this card closer to $100 and now it's sitting at $275, maybe you want to be looking for the exits on that particular card. So we'll see how that plays out. Jimmy Garoppolo as well. He had a monster rip. This is the 2018 downtown. I think those are more limited. I don't know anything about that. So again, big move, and these are usually met with selling. You just run out of buyers, is what it is. You're just one person that thinks that's the price, and you've got a lot of people in here that think that's the price. And so the next sale is, you don't have two people. You have one person that thinks that's the price. You don't have two people that thinks that's the price. And so when that happens, you're gonna have to come back to a level where more people are buying. A steady grind up, people aren't going to think too much about. But when you have these big spikes, they tend to reverse themselves. All right, Bowman Chrome Randy Moss in a PSA 9 with a monster rip as well. So great looking breakout here. So we'll have to give some back. I'm reasonably confident. Again, historically, there's only a few sales up in this area here. So unless we can get a lot of people on board, which it doesn't look like, again, low dollar amount. Someone just bought it, and it's like, okay, fine. But again, a little bit cheaper probably wouldn't surprise me on that one. But hey, it counts. That's a big move for the week. And Patrick Mahomes silver, $500 area has been the kind of the marker on this one. I think we looked at this in the football thing the other day and said, hey, if you can get it for the price, which you probably can't, honestly. I mean, by the time I posted the thing, these sales probably already took place. So, but you're smart enough to know now that when you see these ramps on very, very low volume, just wait and let it come back into an area. So I think we're looking for $500-600 and off of this one to settle into that price here. So you're starting to come back into that area. So we'll see how it goes. Buying has taken place in this area a number of times here, so maybe you start to see that. But once you start to see a few transactions, and that's kind of the level, and we're not quite there yet. All right, for baseball, that index was taken up just a little bit here, over 1% for the month. And heading into the season, perhaps heading into the season, who knows how that goes. But people are starting to speculate. One of the biggest movers overall in that index is Vlad Vlady Jr. here. So this is his Bowman Chrome rookie card, PSA 9, bottom of the range, ripping. And yeah, you're getting closer to the top of the range here. But a lot of his cards are moving really, really well here. I think we're going to take a little closer look at a few of his cards. So again, low dollar amount. So it's just going to be whipped around. Someone comes in and pays $90 for it. That wouldn't be a huge surprise if it went down to $50. Also, it wouldn't be a huge surprise, I think, if people just want to play. They're not going to think too hard about it until you get into the hundreds of dollars. So just kind of fun to see. Barry Bonds with a monster move as well. You had your consolidation kind of starting to round out and then rip outside the range. And so probably not worth chasing here. Again, historically, not a lot of buying in this area. Maybe people were trying to... And these sales actually happened within the last day or two. So it was right around Hall of Fame time. So I don't know if they're trying to front run this or whatever, but didn't work out this year, guys. So may see this come back just a little bit, but yeah, again, time will tell here. And Pete Alonso with a monster move. This brings it back to the top of the range here. So he's had spikes in the past. Here's your home run derby and just kind of grinding. So again, I like to follow the clusters. There's uptrend and then downtrend. So risk reward sets up unfavorably at this time. But look at his numbers. He's a good player here. So maybe the Mets can get it going this year and help him out a bit. But again, we've looked at him a few times, and it's a player that, not at this price, but at this price, interesting enough, $30-40 or something. So that's the Chrome PSA 10. Joe Burrow, player of the month. Over the last month, no player on Card Ladder, their suite of cards, have risen more than Joey B. So he's had this long consolidation, kind of stair-stepping his way out, and then with monster performances in the playoffs, just an absolute rip. So you're coming up onto the all-time highs here. So again, maybe looking for the exits as the buying starts to dry up on all those cards. But if you're a collector or investor or whatever, it's like kind of wait and lean more towards selling than buying. I think at this point here, see how the rest of the playoffs go for him. But this is a pretty healthy card. Again, looking at it in here, said if he does something in the playoffs, he's certainly capable. And look for his cards to rip. This is it's getting a little too cheap here. So it's silver in the PSA 9, breaking the downtrend and going upward. So this kind of this wedge formation is a reversal pattern once it breaks. But while you're in it, the trend is up. But once it breaks, perhaps you see a throwback back down into an area of more support right in that $400 area. So not insignificant move from where we're at. So again, with a lot of these cards kind of getting up to their highs, he's going to have to keep playing at a very, very high level. And It's the Bengals, people. So we'll see how that keeps up. So I'm a Vikings fan, so I can't really talk junk about the Bengals here. Another card of his that's ripping is the Mosaic. The rookie autographs, right? Pretty limited rookie autograph, and that's creeping out of its range as well. Low volume, so maybe a little bit of a throwback, but Burrow cards, scorching hot. One card that isn't, however, is his 2020 Mosaic Silver in a raw. So if you're looking for a Joey B card that hasn't moved, here you go. So that's something that's probably a little bit more reasonable than some. All right, Darius Garland. I think he was in the number 3 overall player for the month. Those cards are absolutely ripping as well, as he's having a great season. So Darius Garland, silver in a PSA 10. It's starting to thin out just a little bit. You're starting to see not as much volume as you did in here, and so as it gets choppy, the volatility picks up and favors, perhaps some sort of, either a spike up or a breakdown. So it's hard to say what happens next. Basically, above 300, you're good. Below 300, no good. You don't want it anymore. It's been a while since we've looked at him. We had him kind of up in this area and said, I look for a pullback, and we got it to the area of support, and now it's just a rip. So again, you kind of trade in ranges here. So $300 is kind of your line in the sand, but the general trend is up on that one here. All right, we'll get into our individual sports and wrap this thing up. Mike Trout, PSA 10, continues to consolidate. Roughly $2,500 to $3,000 is your range, and so even the $2,500 ones, they last for about a second. They get picked up very quickly, so it's more like $2,700 to $3,000 below, sustainably below that $2,700 area. You're looking for probably $2,400 above $3,000, then maybe $3,300 if it's a $300 range. The break should bring you $300. Either way, Mookie Betts in a PSA 10 showing a bit of love here. 250 seemed like a pretty good number, and right now it's proving to be the case here. Seeing a buy signal for the first time since the sell signal was registered at about $800. So I've been able to miss most of this ride down here, but considering his body of work, this may be the time to start looking for some Mookie here. The PSA 9 in the Bowman's Chrome, also getting a little bit of love here. One of his better performing cards overall in the cards that Card Ladder tracks here. So it's starting to compress, and if we can get to break out, that would be a very good sign. So that is again, that's Bowman Chrome base in a PSA 9. Vladdy Guerrero, just again, a player that's just a lot of his cards are just moving right now. So base PSA 9 in the Chrome getting a monster move. So this is probably too quick. You're roughly sitting at half the price of a PSA 10. So that there's kind of a relationship between 9s and 10s, usually 3 to 1 on regular-ish cards. When you get to the higher end cards, refractors, it's more of a 2 to 1 deal. But right now it's a rip, and so we had the support lined out, but this might be too fast as you're getting into an area where selling has taken place in the past. And this is his refractor version in a PSA 10 as well. So nothing else is moving like that PSA 9. So makes me believe that either everything else rips or that one comes back down, which is more likely, right? But the refractor is sitting at pretty decent support if that's a card you are looking for. And if you're looking for a cheap card, inexpensive version of his card, the SGC 10 in the Topps Chrome, sitting around $90. So the PSA 9 is stretched at $90. This one is pulling back into an area where there's been some buying in the past. So there's your value card. Fernando Tatis, Topps Chrome PSA 10, giving you another shot in this buy area. Below this, that's a big problem here. But again, when you see these basing patterns here, that's a pretty good indication that perhaps the card values have stabilized a bit. So now if his arm falls off in the next week or two, then all bets are off. But everything kind of going as they are, then this has been a decent spot to purchase as of late. And you're there again, the Sapphire Edition with a big ramp up. Those reverse themselves, and here you are back into another area. So I think Tatis is presenting an opportunity in some of his cards as well, if that's what you're looking for. Topps Chrome update, PSA 10 Juan Soto continues to grind. 200 to 215 was kind of the area, and it hasn't really that we liked, and it hasn't really revisited it. So just keeps grinding up here. So good for Soto. But it is compressing, and will lead to a break one way or another. Typically, that's the direction of the previous trend. But not always. It's certainly not always. This could be kind of a little bottoming pattern here, but it needs to get its butt going in the near future, and perhaps if spring training gets underway, that will be the catalyst. And his short print, having some fun here. Getting some nice purchases, and coming back up to its all-time highs here, where again you might see some selling where these people might be taking some profits or something like that here. But again, the limited stuff, the Chrome has a population of 11,000 in the base. For Soto has a population of 18 or 19,000, and you're looking at less than 300 on this one here. So it's really easy for demand to overwhelm the supply on this one. So this one, so the short prints and the refractors and all the more limited stuff, they are getting a bit more love than the regular stuff these days, and that card is no different. Ronald Acuna, PSA 10, Topps Chrome, continues to grind sideways and giving the opportunities to buy, sitting at about $150 for that 10. There's refractors, there's all sorts of other stuff, but the base is in a spot right now that looks like, okay, you can at least manage your risk pretty easily. If you can't hold that, then you're a sub-$100 card for the most part, but for now, that looks like an interesting enough spot. The bat down in a PSA 9, again, more limited, $500 card. I was even trying to get it in here, missed, and off it went. So now sitting at over $700. I think it comes back into maybe that $600 range in the near future here, but we shall see. We shall see how that plays out. Ozzie Albies in base and white jersey, so $35. Don't argue about the price too much. Just go get yourself an Ozzie Albies if you don't have one. Trend remains down. This has been an area of decent buying. I look at, they don't have any more of these cards on Card Ladder, but the reason I do throw them in is, some of these cards do tend to give the hint of the general direction for the rest of his market. So if you're interested in some refractors or anything like that, probably also a pretty good deal and sitting in an area where people should step in. And Bo Bichette, pink refractor, PSA 10, a lot of sideways action. So again, I think a lot of these things are basing and they're ready to start moving up at least through spring training, and then then the rubber hits the road, and there's probably only like 3 or 4 guys that will do really well. The big guys do really well during the season here. So Tom Brady, Bowman Chrome. This is the raw. Wanted to show this one. It's a monster mover. A big rip nearly to its highs, which has met some selling in the past. Again, not a lot of people are willing to play these, but pay this price. So, but $6,000 is the current price, and you can get a PSA 9 for roughly that, or a BGS 9 for less than that. So I think the raws are going a little crazy here on this one. They're acting like a graded copy, and I'm not sure how the condition of the raws look like that. The chromes I think hold up a little bit better condition wise, but from 20 years ago, I don't know how well they did. And so it seems like the raws are ahead of themselves just a little bit here. Russell Wilson, this is the PSA 10 chrome. Trying to hang on to some support here, and it just broke, and so the trend remains down, and no telling where it stops here. Not a lot of market memory on this one, so I'm not saying this is an $80 card or anything like that, but it's difficult to say where it stops. This is now your overhead resistance. So Kyler Murray, silver, PSA 10. Is it time to buy Kyler Murray? He's a top 10 quarterback this year. Started out much better and missed a couple of games, but trend remains down, but you're at the bottom of the range in an area where there's been a little bit of buying in the past here. So we'll see if that's able to give him a bit of a list here. And Justin Herbert, who was top 3 this year maybe. So PSA 10, the base. So right now it's difficult to say. We only have the one reference point. He came out of the gate firing and then just kind of drifted lower. But it's matching the previous low here. So as long as it holds this is a pretty good spot to buy. Below this, then you want out. Again, you can't go back far enough to find a reference point because you haven't been around long enough here. So, all right, Lamar Jackson, PSA 10. Also looks to be stabilizing just a bit here. Your downward compression, getting a little bit of a breakout. So you're sitting at short-term resistance here, but it's been, this is kind of a spot. I mean, there's other spots where it could find a pause here, but for now it's like, okay, well, this seems interesting enough for L Jax. We'll see how that goes. It's finally, there was always a disconnect between his 9s and his 10s. Like, wow, the 9's really cheap, but the 10s are expensive. And apparently they're both expensive, but maybe firming up just a little bit here. And Jerry Rice, a raw, $13.50. Come on now, go get yourself a Jerry Rice. You're probably not getting it for $13.50. Probably upwards closer to 60 or 70 or something like that. But yeah, this card's a wild ride. So you're looking for a Jerry Rice, and you do see it for $13.50. Yeah, probably worth buying. Bo Jackson, PSA 9, super rookie consolidation, and coming back into the range. Again, probably a couple bucks lower on this one as well. But there you go. I mean, what's the catalyst to move him around, really? So, all right, basketball, LeBron James, PSA 10. Chrome is LeBron James cards. Have they hit a bottom? Time will tell. Nobody knows. But this is kind of your previous reference point. And and we're starting to see a little bit of a bounce here. So I'd like to see it clear this downtrend line for, or this support area to really get really have some confidence that this is it. But a bounce here is huge for this card in the short term. So we'll see if that is enough to get it going here. Steph Curry Psa 10. Grinding lower, kind of broke your slight uptrend here, and when you do that, you just kind of shoot first and ask questions later, and quick move back down to this previous level support. So maybe giving you a decent area to perhaps buy that card. Giannis, something like that. Downtrend is still intact, but this support area snapped up pretty quickly. Happened again, and so perhaps if it comes back in here and sustains, then that's a little bit. It's a good sign that if it can sustain here, but you want these one-offs to start snapping up. Bottoms are typically some sort of a point where you just have like a one weird sale and then things start to stabilize, and that's happened a couple times. So hopefully that's the case again here. So go sideways or go up a little bit and break this downtrend. But for now, until it does breaks the downtrend, it is still a downtrend. But hopefully this is stabilization. But hope's not a great strategy. So we'll just have to watch it and see what happens here. Ja Morant, top of his range coming out just a little bit. So keep it simple. Above $200, good. Below $200, bad. And so the trend remains lower on this one here, and you might get a shot come up here on $200 if that's a card you've been patient on for a while here. But there've been plenty of opportunities there. Well, I think you're going to get another one. A lot of those cards out there though, so we'll see. Joel Embiid, could this be your MVP for the year? Interesting, huh? All right, you had your support here, and it broke, and so when you say just kind of get out, and you're looking for something, probably this area, and it looks like it's right in between those. So the trend remains down. It's getting close to the top of its range here. So the risk reward doesn't set up too favorably, but if the MVP talk starts to heat up a little bit more, then we shall see if you can break this. Then you've got that kind of that $400 level here. So again, $400 kind of your line in the sand. Above that, good. Below that, bad. So hockey finished it up here with the great one, getting close to the top of his range. Range bound, getting close to the top of the range here. Hockey's really cooled off. A lot of the guys are sitting at the top of their range, and so we're starting to see them come off that a little bit. So when you're lacking a lot of that upward movement, then yeah, you're just going to have a hard time making new highs as well. Mario Lemieux, top of the range, coming back up. So again, probably the price that you're going to pay for this card here, but nothing is rocketing up anymore to make that to take that index higher. Connor McDavid, same thing here. Monster move while everything else was kind of guarding lower. Hockey was doing really well, and now hockey's just going sideways here. But you're at the closer end to the bottom of the range here. So if this card you've been thinking about, it's like, in recent memory, this is as good a price as you've had, and your risk is easily managed on this one here. So it could perhaps see a move up just a little bit here. So to the highs, tough to say because those are one-offs for the most part. So we'll see what goes on. But Connor McDavid for the most part. Seems like as good a spot as you've had for a little while here. Braden Point, downtrend broken, and so now you're just seeing a lot of consolidation. So you had your a couple sales in here, and a couple buys in there technically, I suppose. But here you are again, so above $200. It's like that's kind of your price. I don't know if you get down to 150 or whatever that is again here, but so probably a lot of sideways action for hockey. So people are drifting towards the football market for the most part here. So the rotation is there. Austin Matthews, Young Gun PSA 10. Again, a lot of sideways action here. So it's wedging upwards. My guess is it does kind of break down and come back down a few. What is it currently? It could be a few $100s back into this area here. So the trend is still up while it's in this, but these typically lead to some sort of a breakdown. And we'll wrap it up with Charizard PSA 9 Hollow. A lot of sideways actions. A lot of the Pokemon are doing the same thing here. So top of the range coming back off. Now you're getting in an area where there has been buying in the past, and it's getting a little thin here. So volatility can make it a little bit choppy. So that's what I got for you. I hope everybody has a great weekend. Thank you so much for watching. Like, subscribe, do all that kind of good stuff. Makes me feel good about doing this, and we'll talk to you later. Bye now.